Okay, so the good people at Signature sent me across this new, I guess it's like a horror thriller kind of thing. It is Rebirth, Home Sweet Home, right? It is directed by Steffen Hacker and Alexander Kiesl. I think they wrote the film as well. We don't have any information on that. Actually, I might be able to find. Yeah, I think they both wrote it because that information is not readily available, which is very it's odd, right? It's an odd one, but that's what we're gonna go with. So the film is produced by Dean Altiet, Pakin Malwan, executive produced by Jesse Weiner, Sarot Tubli, Sirkaran Sudhakat, Richard Allen Reed, Tanat Juiwat, Kia Jam, Daniel Diamond, with line production from Natcha Osborne. Tao Lee handled the music. Makar Mali was on cinematography. It's all edited by Sebastian Wilde. Lek Fanyaton Pantuzitu was behind all the casting. We have Chompol Krajan Fong on set decoration. Costume design is Nitya Bunkahu. Hair, makeup. We have Harriet Civiliai, Fanon Songisil, Piapon Sigtesh, Arpon Mibanyang, Kitchon Kunchakul, and Nutsara Bonyakon. Our cast. Right, so we have William Moseley, old Will, who we spoke to a while back about was it the Davy Crockett film? I think it was, right? So he plays Jake. His wife, Prang, is played by Urassaya Sperbund. And their daughter, Lou, is played by Akeira Hadden. Right, we then have got we got our novice monk, right, played by Alexander Lee. And then there's Mech, played by Michelle Monroe. Okay, who else? Oh yeah, the novice monk's Chan as well. Eke Pak Lee is played by Dominic Zuka. Arat, played by Itipol Paulson. Wiccan, played by Bloom Varin. The teenage girl, played by Tia Tavi. That's basically it, right? So what is this all about, you may ask? Well, I will tell you, people. The story follows Jake, a cop thrust into an alternate realm called the hindrance. During a deadly mall shooting, with the help of a mysterious novice monk, Jake must race the clock to save his wife, Prang, and stop an evil occultist mech from opening the gates of hell. So yeah, that's the film, right? It is based on a 2017 computer game called Home Sweet Home. Supposedly it's big in Thailand. And this was a joint Thai-American production, right? Yeah, I don't play games, so I don't know how big this game is, right? It says it's big in Thailand. I don't know if it's big anywhere else, any of that jazz. But it's one of those films, right? Like, you know, like there's a threat. The threat to Earth, like hell could come forth unless a hero saves the day. It's one of those kind of adventures. You know what I mean? Now, we start off with Jake, Prang, and Lou. They're on vacation. But Jake is, he's getting bogged down by work. He's meant to be on vacation, leaving the phone alone, but he keeps on getting calls. Now, we don't know what work he actually does. We know he used to be a cop, right? The youngest captain. But yeah, he walked away from that to do something else, to give more time to his family, right? Now, they're here, holiday, and to see Prang's mum, right? So that is the film. But when they're out, everything goes crazy in the mall, right? A guy starts to shoot up everything. So we have this. In the backdrop of all of that happening, we have scenes of Chang, like our novice monk. And there's also this guy in a weird kind of hooded cloak talking, right? Who turns out to be Chang's dad. And so Chang's like, oh, my dad's back. I have to go out and save things. So we have all of this happening. Now, there is a lot of Jake, Prang, and Lou wandering around, sightseeing, going in shops, which is all fine, but it doesn't really do anything for the story. Right? The acting is, it's fine. There's nothing, terrible, but there's nothing outstanding, right? I think Lou, it's the kid which doesn't always get the emotion across, but, it's difficult for little kids, right? With all of this stuff. So, yeah, where the film really does suffer, the CGI is... Ooh. I mean, some bits aren't bad, but then some bits are just like, oh, that's not great. It's not great. And then it's just the story itself, the script. There are a lot of things that do not necessarily make any sense. Right? There's a bit when there's these two weapons, a gun and a knife. And we see someone take the gun, but not the knife. But then, in the midst of this big fight, they have the knife. And it's just like, but they never took the knife. The knife wasn't thrown to them mid-fight. So how the fuck have they got the knife? Right? So that was, very odd. There's another bit when there's something about bodies, right? And vessels and all of this kind of thing, which is all fine, but it doesn't then explain the hotel, right? That whole thing doesn't necessarily make any sense because of what we were told about the bodies and also what happened in the mall, right? It doesn't work. Otherwise, yeah, it makes it a little difficult because, there are potential spoilers, so we can't get into any specifics or details. But there's just these things that don't really work story-wise, Like, when you have someone who's like, I need to help these people at 1 minute, but then we get a bit where they're like, oh, I don't know what to, I can't go. And you're just like, wait, hold on. If you're the person to run off to help in that scenario, then you're not questioning this other scenario, right? It's just these weird inconsistencies. Like if there's a big fire, or any kind of an earthquake or anything like that in a place with lifts, the lifts go to the basement. The lifts don't work because if you try and use a lift, and it could get stuck in between floors, people die, they just go, there's too many risks, so lifts don't work. So in a movie where someone's like, I'm taking a lift, like, you're just like, yeah, that wouldn't be a thing, man. You'd have to use the stairs, son. So yeah, it's a weird one. There was this goofy line at one point where it's just like, I was afraid to love, but now I'm not. And you're just like, hold on a second. You're saying you were afraid to love, but you married the person. You had a kid with a person, right? So what what? Like, guys, this is a weird, it just does not work. Doesn't work. And as I said, the script is the big issue here. Too many inconsistencies, too many things that do nothing to lead the story and do nothing to even build up, like background on the character, something useful, something like, oh, that's why they would do this, or you know what I mean? It's an odd one. But it's one of those films, I think, if you're a fan of that Mila Djokovic film we looked at a few weeks back, right? In the Lost Lands, I think it was. If you're a fan of that, the Resident Evil films, right? Anything by Mila Djokovic, right? Monster Hunter, any of her films. If you're a fan of those type of things, Rebirth, Home Sweet Home will work for you. I think it will work in that. Guys, it looks like this film was created to spawn sequels. Right? Just from how one character's story arc kind of ends. And then the very ending of the film, right? With the woman, where you're just like, wait, where did she come from? What's happening here? Right? So it looks like they built it for more. But I don't know if we're going to get that. Right? I don't know maybe if the budget of this was so small, you know what I mean? It's so efficient to make. And, they just have to sell a few hundred copies on VOD and then, maybe then, right? But I don't know, because they didn't really do anything to build up Jake, Prang, Lou, right? To build that dynamic where you're like, oh man, I really care for these people. it doesn't really do it. It doesn't give us this backstory on Chang, right? And what these monks, what their task is, right? If it's to protect the world or something like that, right? There was this weird, goofy TV series on Netflix, Warrior Nun, right? Which I feel probably did a better job of like building up what these nuns were here for. So if this film had built up Chang and his crew, right? Built up Jake, Prang, that whole situation, then, I think the film would resonate a bit more. And then you could just go, okay, well, it's a small budget. It doesn't matter that the special effects weren't great most of the time. You can look past those kind of things. But without that character development, without that great story, it's hard to care. You know what I mean? It's just hard to care. But the film, it drops on VOD on the 14th of April. And you could own the DVD and Blu-ray if you're all about that physical purchase. You can do that from the 21st of April. So yes, Rebirth, Home Sweet Home. It will be out in the world if you like computer game adaptations. Instead, if you like Mila Djokovic films, then this could be for you.